Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. जय राधा नील माधव राधा नील माधव श्री राधे। जय गौर निताय गौर निताय गौर निताय श्री श्री गौर निताय। जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तरशत श्री श्रीमद् अभय चरणारविंद भक्त वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तरशत श्री श्रीमद् भक्त सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री गुरु और गौरांग की श्री रामानुजाचार्य तिरुभाव महामहोत्सव की। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमावों विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, with the blessings of their Lordship Shri Shri Radha Neelamadhav, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai, Shri Shri Lakshmi Narasimhadev, and all the Acharyas and Srila Prabhupada. especially today being a very auspicious day. And I seek the blessings of all senior devotees here and all the assembled Vaishnavas so that I'll be able to glorify and purify myself. Uh, I had been hearing a few years before the usually for Lord we celebrate only appearance days. We have appearance days of so many Vishnu Tattva avatars when they appear here. We don't usually celebrate any disappearance days of any of the Lord's incarnations. But when it comes to Acharyas, we have celebrations of their appearance days and their disappearance days. And it is said the appearance days and the disappearance days, actually, in one sense, there is no difference. But it is said disappearance days are little more glorious, especially because the Acharya's glories or the Vaishnava's glories have become known to the whole world. When their appearance days are there, their glories are not yet known to the whole world. But when they disappear, they have rendered such a enormous service and they have exhibited such great staunch devotion. So the whole world is able to actually recognize their exalted nature. So in that sense, especially acharyas like Madhvacharya, yesterday's it was a Madhvacharya's disappearance day, and today's Ramanujacharya's. So these days are very nourishing to our own individual bhakti. And so let me. So of course, I have not had a too much exhaustive, but whatever I've heard, I would like to share about Sri Ramanujacharya. So it is said that Ramanujacharya, um, the time period which he appeared in this world is immediately after Shankaracharya. And after Shankaracharya, of course, Shankaracharya appeared to defeat Buddhism. And Buddhism was established just so that the Vedic literatures were being misused and so much of violence was caused to innocent animals. The Lord was thinking how such innocent animals are being killed so mercilessly. The Lord felt so much compassion upon all of them. So he appeared and he gave a dharma which is chala dharma, means which was atheistic in garb. And so he propounded nirvana and he propounded just ahimsa and he asked to keep away all Vedic literatures aside. So he did not tell anything about God or anything about soul and no a relationship with Lord and Jiva. So he gave such a philosophy which was not giving a fulfillment of heart to anybody. So then Shankaracharya came and he wanted to drive away this atheism. But he propounded what Buddha said is everything at the end is going to become zero. So he propounded Shunyavad. But when Shankaracharya came, he said everything is not zero, but everything is one. So he made that zero into one. So Shankaracharya's contribution. But one more thing is he brought everyone under the umbrella of Vedic Dharma. So this is one contribution which. But one thing he said is that one is Brahman. And he also propounded the dharma which is not exactly which is in reality truth. He said Brahman is that which doesn't have any qualities. He said this is the ultimate reality. So, but now when Ramanujacharya came, so this was the time when Ramanujacharya he wanted to establish the highest reality as a personal form of Supreme Lord. So he took birth in 10th century, 1017 AD, and his he took birth in Perambudur, and his parents' name is mentioned Asuri Keshav and parents' name Asuri Keshav and Kantimati. So they both were from very aristocratic families, and then in the age of 16, he was married to already. Usually during those times, the marriage used to happen very in their childhoods. So he was married to Raksha Kambal, and only after 4 months of his marriage, his father actually passed away. So then immediately they all shifted to Kanchi, because during those time Kanchi was a place where if at all anybody wants to learn, they used to go there and learn. So then they all moved to Kanchi, and after that in Kanchi there was a very great scholar, and he was such a scholar that all the people in that area, they would all come to him, and they would study many Sanskrit literature and all the Vedic literatures also. And uh, and he was a great proponent of Shankara's philosophy. And now Ramanujacharya was also, he had no other option. So now, then he also started studying under him. But even when he was studying, he was not able to agree to whatever he was saying. So he was, in his heart, he was not able to accept that philosophy. He was feeling always indifferent. But he was a submissive student also. So whatever he taught, he learnt very well, and that's how he became a very favorite of Yadava Prakash. And this Yadava Prakash had once upon a time, he was giving one lecture on Chandogya Upanishad, and after he gave that lecture, he asked Ramanujacharya to come and massage his body with oil. And so when he was massaging his body with oil, at that time, another student came. Another student came, and he asked one question. He said, whatever you actually mentioned in the class today, I do not understand. So I have one question which I want to ask. So he asked a question. This was from Chandogya Upanishad, and he was saying, Tasya vata kapyasam pundarikam evam akshini. So this was the shloka which he was speaking on, seventh verse of Chandogya Upanishad. So he was saying, so can you little elaborate this? I'm not able to understand this. At that time, he gave, Yadav Prakash gave such an objectional explanation to this shloka. So actually, it is mentioned, Jai Shri Radha Nilmadhav Bhagwan ki, Shri Shri Gaun Nitai ki Shri. So, he explained Kapyasam. Kapyasam means, he mentioned it is like Kapi. Kapi means monkey. Monkeys. Actually, this is explaining about Pundarikam Evam Akshini. Akshini. The eyes of the Supreme it is mentioned as Kapyasam. So he said it is like a rare part of a monkey. And when Brahmanacharya was hearing all this kind of explanations that is coming from his own guru, and he was unable to tolerate, and in his heart he was so much heartbroken, and because of that there were hot tears which were falling from his eyes, and those hot tears were streaming so much that it started falling on the thighs of this Yadav Prakash. And Yadav Prakash was thinking something, probably someone is distressed, and then he looked at Ramanujacharya, and Ramanujacharya is crying, and then he asked, why are you crying? And then he explained, actually, I have seen that you are such a noble soul. You are such a great soul. And you are a great scholar of Vedas. And you have studied all the Vedic literatures. And you are a teacher of so many students. But you are describing the Supreme Lord in such an objectionable way. So it doesn't become of you to explain Supreme Lord like this. And then when he said, immediately Yadav Prakash became very angry. He said that, oh, you know better, so then you explain. And then when he asked like this, so he said, when there is already direct meaning, why should you explain in an indirect way, in such a unbecoming way? Then he asked, okay, you explain. Now you know much better. Now you have learned everything, so now you explain. And then immediately Ramanujacharya started saying that Kapyasam actually also means it is like a lotus. So that from lotus, lotus is actually very reddish. And especially those lotuses which are laid by sun. There are one kind of lotus which is when it is reddish, uh, they are actually light bloomed by sun, and there are some blue lotuses. They're all bloomed by moonshine. So here, Supreme Lord's eyes, they're reddish like red lotuses. So that was the explanation which is given. So now he was saying that he gave such an indirect meaning. So then he said, Yadav Prakasha could not digest this. He said that you are thinking that Supreme Lord, if at all he exists, so this is what you are saying. If at all that Supreme Lord exists, then he may have eyes like whatever you are saying. But where is that Supreme Lord having all these attributes? He doesn't. He doesn't exist. So there is no personal form of Lord. There is no personal name, fame, and there is no personal qualities, any attributes connected to the Supreme Lord. This is what he was saying. And then Ramanujacharya, he was having a. So Ramanujacharya, he did not debate much. And then after few many more days, and then one more thing, Yadav Prakasha warned Ramanujacharya. He said, "You keep all these foolish sentiments in your own heart. Don't speak it to anybody." So he made it like this, and then after few days, again he was giving one more class, and he was speaking about. Uh, so he spoke on Taittiriya Upanishad. He was saying about Satyam, Gnanam, Anantam, Brahma. So he was explaining on this shloka, Satyam, Gnanam, Anantam, Brahma. So he was saying how that Supreme Brahman is Satyam, it is truthful, and that Supreme is very intelligent, and also it is unlimited. This is what he said, that a Brahman is like this. And then immediately after that, Ramanujacharya, he added another comment. He said that Supreme Brahman possesses qualities of truthfulness and knowledge, and also he has unlimited energies. And that Supreme Lord has so many energies that he will not come under his own energy, but he is controlling all those unlimited energies under him. So when he was explaining all this, again, there was a tussle between Yadav Prakash and Ramanujacharya. And then he said, you think you know much better? If at all you think like this, you go and open your own school. And don't come and spoil my school here. So get out of here immediately. So when he made a statement like this, Ramanujacharya silently got up and he left. And then immediately Yadav Prakash understood. Now this boy is not ordinary boy. And he can create a heck. He can make sure that the entire Shankara's philosophy is actually going to become obsolete. So if at all I want to make Shankara's philosophy stand, then only one option is there. We should kill this person. There is no other option. So we should kill this boy immediately. So then immediately they all thought, and then he told all his followers. Yadava told all his students that we want to kill this Ramanuja. And then all the students were also saying, yes, we will do. And because they also became envious. And eventually what happened? Ramanujacharya started his own school. And Ramanujacharya was explaining such deep devotional aspects about Supreme Lord, everything. And then his school became very famous. And so many people started coming to his school, join his school. And then the Ramanujacharya was being plotted to kill. So now Yadava Prakash was thinking, so how to kill him? The best way to kill him is, if at all we kill him in this place, immediately the news will spread everyone. So better to take him somewhere else and finish him there, and then come and tell him that he had drowned in some river, or he got killed in some forest. So better to do like that. And then they all said, so better now let us all go to Ganga. So where Ganga flows? In North India, Kashi, Varanasi. So let us all plan a pilgrimage to Ganga, and then after taking bath, we will drown him in Ganga and then come back. So this was the plot which was made by Yadav Prakash. And then finally, then they all proposed to Ramanujacharya, we are all going to take bath in Ganga. So why don't you join us? So Ramanujacharya also said okay. And then Ramanujacharya had one of his nephew. His name was Govinda. So he said, so let us take Govinda also with us. So Govinda also went. After 4 days of that journey, immediately they started to execute their plan. They were thinking now they released whatever the news they had that they want to kill Ramanujacharya. They told Govind also. They took him in confidence, because suppose if at all we want to hatch a plan to kill someone, then what are we supposed to do? What can we do? Suppose we want to hatch a plot to, let's say it is said, uh, let's say somebody wants to kill some great minister. What the first thing they do is they want to know whereabouts of him. Where does he go? What does he do? So then immediately they go and get the secretary, and they take secretary in confidence, and they give some money to secretary. And if the secretary comes into our confidence, then we can know where is he, what does he do, and then we can easily kill him. So same thing they wanted to do with Ramanujacharya, and they took Govinda into confidence, and they were saying that if at all, and then Govinda, but when he understood Ramanujacharya is going to get killed, then he took him separately in the forest, and he told Ramanujacharya that there is a hatch to kill you. So immediately you run deeper into the forest and do not come back again. And then Ramanujacharya fled into the forest. And then when Govinda came and told all the Yadava Prakasha and all his students, then they all said, they all externally started weeping. Oh, Ramanujacharya has got killed, and he has got killed in the forest by some tiger. So now, so what to do? And they started weeping. But internally, they were very happy that Ramanujacharya is now out of the picture. Now, Ramanujacharya was running in the forest, and finally, he became one day, after running, he became so tired. And he came to one village. While he came to one village, there was one man and woman, they were doing withdrawing water from one of the wells. And he was very thirsty. So he went and asked little water, and they immediately gave him water. And after some time, he was so tired that he slept off after drinking water. And when he slept, he was dreaming. In his dream, Lord Ram and Mother Sita, they came. And after they came, they were guiding him where to go ahead in the forest path. And they were guiding him to come to Kanchi. And then after many hours, he woke up. And when he woke up, next day, he saw himself in Kanchi. So he was in the dream, he saw Lord Ramachandra and Mother Sita. And now, same thing, when he woke up from the dream, he was actually in Kanchi, and he understood. Huh? Actually, in some place, they mentioned it as Mother Rama and Mother Sita Devi and Ramachandra. I also don't know. So, so some places maybe Prabhuji is mentioning it is Shiva and Parvati. So then immediately after that, after he came back, then he started continuing whatever his activities as school, Gurukul, and then he was teaching. And then after many months, all this Yadav Prakash and many students, they all came, and they started again. Then he understood Yadav Prakash. Suppose if I make again any other plot to kill him, then it will become very serious. So better now, let me not do anything. And then eventually, it is said all this after many years, Yadav Prakasha himself, he couldn't tolerate the fame that is growing for him. And but eventually, his heart got transformed. He himself surrendered. And then when Yadav Prakasha himself surrendered, all his disciples also surrendered. So that's how he became a very great propounder of bhakti. And then once upon a time, uh, one of the great devotee, uh, Yamunacharya. This Yamunacharya from Sri Rangam, he happened to come to Kanchi, and then he met Ramanujacharya, because he was saying that hardly were very few Vaishnava sannyasis who were actually preaching. And that too, they were, first of all, Shankara's philosophy was so prominent everywhere, but only very few Vaishnava sannyasis were actually preaching. So when Yamunacharya heard this great devotee like Ramanujacharya is preaching so vigorously and so many followers are there, and then immediately Yamunacharya became so happy. And then Ramanujacharya considered his whole life perfection is to get to meet a great devotee like Yamunacharya. And then so Yamunacharya blessed Ramanujacharya, and he left. And then over a period of time, after many years, when Yamunacharya was about to pass away, and then the news reached to uh, Ramanujacharya. At that time, Ramanujacharya wanted to go and have darshan of his spiritual master at least at last moment. And then by the time he came, he came delayed. By that time, already Yamunacharya had left this world. But still, when he came, the entire body of Yamunacharya was lying on a bed, and his whole body was so much effulgent, and his whole face was still beaming with so much of spiritual bliss. It was as if he is looking at Supreme Lord's beauty and drinking, and his whole face was glowing, and his hands both were stretched, and his one of the hands, it was in this mudra, and then he understood this is a yoga mudra. So probably just before leaving, he was in this mudra. And another hand, it was usually people when they are dying, usually they keep their hands stretched open and they die. But here he saw that very strangely, three fingers were closed, and Yamunacharya's three fingers were closed, and he had died. He had died in the sense he had disappeared from this world. And then immediately Ramanujacharya understood Yamunacharya's some desires are still unfulfilled. So then he started declaring that I am going to uh, fulfill the desires of Yamunacharya. And what are those desires? He said, first, he said, the there is no bhashya for Vedanta Sutra till now. Because there is Sharirika Bhashya. Sharirika Bhashya is going to actually written by Shankaracharya, and it is propounding Advaita philosophy. And where is the philosophy of ultimate reality being the Supreme Lord? That philosophy is not being, that philosophy doesn't have any Bhashya. So he said, one, I'm going to write this Bhashya. And then one more thing he said, uh, just a minute. I'm going to speak pure devotion. You know? He said, I'm going to, uh, for the well being of all the people, I'm going to write a commentary on Vedanta Sutra. After this, one finger opened fully. And then he said, Especially nowadays, the entire Shankara's philosophy of impersonalism is actually deluding the whole world. So now I'm going to speak the pure devotion to the lotus feet of Supreme Lord Narayana. So I'm going to speak this dasya bhav of towards the Supreme Lord. So this is then immediately second finger also opened, and the last finger was still closed. And then he said, a great sage like Parashara, and I'm going to name one of my disciple. So in the name of Parashara, who in the ancient times he had actually taught the difference between Ishvara and Jiva. He had actually taught in the beginning. So I am going to name one of my disciple who is very learned and who has great devotion. I'm going to name him as Parashara. So when he made these statements, immediately all the three fingers were completely open. And then immediately all the disciples of Yamunacharya understood that this Ramanujacharya is no ordinary. So they said, this Ramanujacharya, we are going to accept him as our leader and our guide. And he is going to become the Acharya for our entire parampara. That's how they all considered Ramanujacharya to be their leader. And eventually, Ramanujacharya became, he actually lived in Srirangam, and he took over the entire responsibility of guiding so many disciples, and he established entire Srirangam as the headquarters of Shri Parampara, and eventually he also established Tirupati temple, and where he established the deity worship of Lord Balaji. So and one last pastime I will narrate, and then I will end. So when he was preaching so vigorously, there was one of the Chola king. This Chola king became actually very much envious, because there were already some other Shankara followers. They became actually envious of Ramanujacharya, and they wanted to somehow pull down Ramanujacharya. So they went and told Chola king that somehow you make sure that this Ramanujacharya's philosophy, if it grows, then in the entire kingdom, everyone will become a follower of his philosophy, and nobody will follow Shankara's philosophy. Then this Chola king, he said, I am going to call him for a debate, and if required, by force or by even killing, we will make sure that our Shankara's philosophy will keep it upheld. And then when Quraysh heard, Quraysh said, this king is actually very cruel. So we cannot risk your own life. So Ramanujacharya, you are able to bring out such a massive revolution in all the lives of people. So why do you go? So let me have the honor of giving my life in sacrifice to your service. So then Quraysh went on behalf of Ramanujacharya along with Mahapurna. And then there was a big debate between Ramanujacharya and Quraysh and Mahapurna. Jai Shri Shri Radha Nil Madhav Bhagwan ki Shri Shri Gaur Nitai. And because the philosophy was so clear, and Quraysh was very easily able to defeat them in all the scholars he was able to defeat. But still, uh, the king was not satisfied. King was thinking that either you accept our philosophy or we will kill you. And then immediately Quraysh, he said that we will never give up our Ramanujacharya, whatever he has spoken this philosophy, we will, he said, and then immediately he said, he remembered in the past, this king's daughter, she was attacked by one of the ghosts. And this ghost was not ready to leave the body of this daughter, princess. And then immediately, at one point of time, they wanted to relieve this ghost. So uh, they called once they called Yadav Prakash, and at another point of time, they called Ramanujacharya. And the ghost was replying to Yadav Prakash, I will not leave. And whatever Yadav Prakash was chanting so many mantras, but still that ghost was not ready to leave. And then when Ramanujacharya came, the ghost said, "You keep your feet on my head, and with that, I will get completely relieved, and then I'll get purified." And then after Ramanujacharya's such divine powers, this king became very much happy. But now, because he was spreading this Vaishnavism, he was thinking, we will not kill him, but we will make sure that his eyes are removed. So then he ordered his ministers to pluck out the eyes of Ramanujacharya. But now it was Quraysh, not Ramanujacharya. So they plucked out the eyes of Quraysh. And then Mahapurna, actually also, he just left the body on the way. And Quraysh came back to Sri Rangam. When he came back to Sri Rangam, at that point of time, Ramanujacharya was very much pained seeing his disciple without eyes. So he went and asked, so go and ask Varadaraj to give your eyes back. Because it is not your body, it is my body. Because you have offered it to me in service, so it is no more your body. So go and ask Varadaraj to give back your eyes. And then then Kuresh went and he asked Varadaraj. So Varadaraj came and asked, so what boon you want? He said, under this Chola king, there was one of the minister. This minister was actually earlier Ramanujacharya's disciple, but now he had betrayed and he had gone away. And he said, please, because he had committed such an offense, he said he is going to suffer in hell for long. So please make sure that he is given pure devotional service. So this is what is the boon that he is asking Lord Varadaraj for the offender. And then not only that, even for the king, he said, please do not let him not suffer, but let him get pure devotional service unto you. So this is how Quraysh was so much magnanimous and selfless. Ramanujacharya could not bear. Then even Ramanujacharya himself came and he asked Varadaraj that please give eyes to my dear disciple Quraysh. So when he asked this prayer, the Lord was very much happy to bestow. And so this is how, especially Ramanujacharya has exemplified what is the mood of servitude. And even especially when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took this Dasya Bhav into the parampara of Gaudiyas. So yeah, at least on this day, it is very important for us to meditate on the glories of Ramanujacharya and seek blessings and also seek the divine service attitude which he had exemplified. And also we become very much dear to the Supreme Lord, just like Ramanujacharya's. Uh, so we'll offer prayers at the lotus feet of Sri Ramanujacharya and seek his blessings on this particular day. Sri Ramanujacharya Pad ki, Sri Ramanujacharya Tirobhav Mahamahotsav. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Till 8:45 now, class? What time? Oh, till 9, huh? Okay. Different devotees want to add something? Yes, huh? In instructions, huh? I think 10 instructions I cannot cannot been able to read so much. Well, you can share if you can share. No, no, no. You can share with me. Yeah, whatever you are.
Will be in association of devotees. Uh, uh, Chant the holy names of Lord without offense. Mm. preach the glories of Vedic literature, like that. Yes. Mm. Never fault find with any uh, other devotees. Mm.
Okay, let us count how many are there. First, he said, always remain in the company of and serve those souls devoted to Godhead, just as you would serve your own spiritual preceptor. Okay, this is one. Always remain in the company and serve those souls who are devoted to Godhead as you serve your own spiritual master. Second, have faith in the teachings of the Vedas and in the words of great saints. Faith in Vedas and words of great saints. Sadhu and Vedas, Shastra. Never become slave of your own senses. This is third. Always strive to conquer three great enemies of self realization. Fourth, lust, anger, and greed. So, this is fourth instruction. And fifth, worship Narayana and take pleasure in uttering the holy names of God as your only refuge. This is sixth. Worship Narayana and take pleasure in chanting the holy names. And I think seventh, sincerely serve devotees of Godhead. Because by service to the great devotees, the highest service is done. And one quickly gains the supreme mercy. And ninth, ninth, eighth. Remembering these things, you should live happily in this world for the attainment of the next. I think 8 instructions are there, which have been mentioned. First one is always remain in the company of those, I call it in the company of devotees and serve them. So this is just like we serve our guru. Second, have faith in the teaching of Vedas and sadhus. Third, never become slave of senses and always and fourth, always try to conquer three great enemies: lust, anger, and greed. Fifth, worship Narayana and take pleasure in chanting. And sixth, sincerely serve devotees because by serving them, one attains highest mercy. Seventh, eighth, remembering these things, you should live happily in this world for attaining the highest destination in the next. So this is what he said just before he was departing. And any other devotees Prabhuji you want to add? You want to add Prabhuji something? Aushami, you want to add? Okay. Okay. So on last pastime I will narrate, especially this is very which will actually glorify the holy name also. So at one point of time, Mahapurna Ramanujacharya had many spiritual masters, many Shiksha Gurus. So one of them was, of course, Yamunacharya was there, and also there was Mahapurna. From Mahapurna, he learnt many Vedic literatures. And but Mahapurna told him that I want you to go to Goshti Purna and learn from him one special mantra which he has. So go and learn from him. And then where was this Goshti Purna? Actually, he was there in Goshtiyur, Tirugoshtiyur, Tirugoshtiyur. So he was there in Tirugoshtiyur. So you go and learn from him. And from Srinangam, when you were supposed to go to Tirukoshtiyur, it was a very long distance. And so when he was going, so after he went, so first time he wanted to test whether Goshti Purna wanted to test Ramanujacharya whether he's qualified to receive that mantra or not. So he was testing he said, go and come next time, I'll give you a mantra. So he said, this mantra is so powerful. Anybody who chants this mantra is actually going to become completely pure. And everyone is going to, one who chants this mantra is going to get liberated. And he's going to attain the service to the Supreme Lord. And so this was he was saying, this mantra is so powerful. And then Ramanacharya was thinking, yes, so then so many people are suffering in this world. So why not we give this mantra to everyone? So first he was wanting to receive this mantra. And then he was going, but every time when he went, Goshti was rejecting him. And he said, come again next time. So like this, continuously he would go by walk and come back. And it is said he went almost 17 times. And through every time he was not being given the mantra, but at the same time he was feeling himself very fallen. Ramanacharya, that caliber of Acharya, he was feeling himself very impure and very fallen, and he was feeling himself very humble that he was not deserving to receive this mantra. So finally when he went on 18th time, so this time Goshti Purna said, never give this mantra to anybody. And before you give, that person should be highly qualified. He should be pure. Unless you see him, and so he made this injunction of not giving this mantra to anybody unqualified. And then immediately Ramanjari accepted this mantra. And while he was going, he thought, this mantra is so powerful and so pure, and it can give the highest liberation, and also it can give eternal service to Lord. So why not this mantra be given to the common mass? So many people are suffering. Why don't they get this highest destination? So he went on the top of a temple, and then he started making a loud uh, announcement, and he was saying, so I'm going to give you a special mantra by which all of you can attain that Vaikuntha and can attain that divine service to the Supreme Lord. So then all the people in huge mass, they all assembled. And then he made all of them chant, Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. So he made all the people chant this mantra. And this sound was audible to Goshti Purna. And just now he has told, before giving this mantra, do not give to anybody. And immediately after that, he has gone and given to everyone. That too, he has made a public announcement in the speaker. And so Goshti Purna became so angry. And then when Ramanujarya came back, he said, you are a betrayer, you are a cheater, and you have not obeyed whatever I have spoken. You will go to hell eternally for many, many lifetimes. So this is what Guru is only cursing now. And Ramanujacharya, he was unmoved. And he said that you have said that by chanting this mantra, so many people can go back to Vaikuntha and they can go and attain service to their lordships. So if so many people are able to go to Vaikuntha, and in return, if I have to go to hell for many lifetimes, I don't mind. I don't mind going to hell for many lifetimes if many, many souls are going to Vaikuntha. And when he heard this statement from his own disciple, Ramanujacharya, Goshtipunna's heart was completely melted. And he said, actually, though I knew so many things, but I had not actually imbibed the real, genuine Vaishnava quality of compassion. And I feel you are actually my guru. So Goshtipunna started offering obeisances to Ramanujacharya. And immediately after that, Ramanujacharya was unable to. He said, I'm only, I mean, eternally, going to be only your servant. So this was the mood of Ramanujacharya and his the deep compassion. And though he was such a great scholar, and he was he was able to transform the hearts of so many, had so many followers, but his heart was always cherishing how he can relieve the sufferings of everyone. So this was the mood of Ramanujacharya. So, Ramanujacharya. So, Madhvacharya was yesterday. So today is Ramanujacharya. So, we being in mood of in the parampara of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's very important for us to also, because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also came to give the same. He was wanting to spread this holy name to everyone. He was wanting to give compassion to everyone. So, in that sense, in it is our own duty also. These kind of acharyas, they have exhibited so much, they have done so much of sacrifice to relieve the sufferings of so many conditioned souls like us. So, we being their followers, so it is also our duty to extend a little bit on our own side so that we can show that compassion to others. So, on this day, we can actually pray at the lotus feet of Sri Ramanujacharya to develop deep service attitude, to develop attachment to the holy name, and also to develop genuine compassion. We don't want to show genuine compassion in the name for the sake of our own uh, for our own glory, but we want to show genuine compassion to relieve the sufferings of others. So of course we do not have such compassion. Great acharyas have such a compassion. We can actually become instruments in the hands of their compassion. So of course I'm not qualified to speak. So many great qualities are there, such acharyas. But I just shared for my own purification, and that also it is not complete. So I I seek all the blessings. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Shri Ramanujacharya Pad ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.